Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Fitness journeys can be messy, they can be disorganized, they can be imperfect, and you can still make progress. You don't have to be perfect in order to make progress. Fitness journeys do not have to be black and white. And so today, I'm going to be revealing my deepest, darkest secrets, aka all of the ways that my fitness journey is incredibly imperfect, to hopefully help you guys feel a little bit better about where you are if you're feeling like your fitness journey is not perfect. For context, my current health and fitness goals are number one priority, healing my skin and healing all of the underlying stuff that needs to be healed in order to heal my skin. So like number one priority is basically health, but also fitness wise, I do want to basically maintain the physique that I have worked really hard to build. My ideal goal would be maintain my muscle mass, maintain my strength, maintain my body fat percentage, and also progress at the same time in kind of any direction. I don't really have a specific direction that like is my priority in making progress. Right now, I'm really enjoying making progress with yoga, but the goal as a whole is just to be progressing. And then tertiary goal, I suppose, or maybe tied for secondary goal, is just overall health and longevity. So doing the things that I need to do in order to live a long, healthy, happy life. The things that I need to do so that I can run around with my grandkids, be deadlifting when I'm 80, still be traveling and living life to the fullest in my 80s, hopefully 90s, and maybe beyond, who knows? So those are the goals that kind of shape the context of these things that I do that aren't really helpful for these goals. I'm gonna try to get through this list without trying to justify these things, because that kind of defeats the purpose of admitting to my imperfections, but this is gonna be hard, so let's just go. Number one, I think my biggest unhelpful habit that I have is having caffeine first thing in the morning on an empty stomach with sugar. So like most mornings I start my day with an iced mocha with almond milk. First thing in my stomach, just caffeine and sugar. And this is a habit that I have fluctuated in and out of. I've gone through phases of quitting caffeine and then phases of being back on caffeine. Right now, we're on caffeine. I am trying to use it to my advantage in telling myself that I can't have my iced mocha with almond milk unless I run a mile to the coffee shop, and that's actually really helping me build a running habit. So right now, I'm not mad about having this habit. I'm not trying to quit this habit, but I am very much aware that it's something that I would be much healthier and would probably progress towards my goals faster if I weren't doing. Starting your day with caffeine and straight sugar is just not gonna be optimal for like pretty much any health or fitness goal. This is going to spike your cortisol, and if you're dealing with any sort of health issues that could be mitigated by managing your stress levels, then spiking your cortisol first thing in the morning, probably not ideal. And then starting your day with straight sugar, just not optimal for blood sugar. I feel like most of us know this. I don't need to elaborate. It can also dysregulate your hunger and satiety cues. And so over time, this habit can just have a negative impact on your adrenals, which regulate cortisol, stress hormone, and also on your insulin levels. The better alternative would be to start your day with a balanced protein, fiber, fat forward breakfast, and then if you do want to include caffeine, having it after that. So for me, this is a habit that I don't plan on changing immediately because it actually is really motivating me to run, which I actually really do kind of like, but it is something that is in the back of my head that like I would like to modify at some point, but it's just not top priority for me. Second big thing that has kind of just been a fact of kind of basically my entire fitness journey until recently, now that I have started running more consistently or dabbling more in running in like the last year, is I like really never did cardio. Okay, that's a lie. Let me just run it back. I exclusively did cardio until I found lifting. Like growing up, my parents would like take me on bike rides, go hiking all the time. Like I was very active in a cardio forward way. When I got to college, I basically thought cardio was the only thing that I could do. Like it never crossed my mind that as a woman, I could lift weights. And then I found weightlifting and I was like, oh my God, this is so much better than just standing on the elliptical for an hour feeling like I'm dying. And so I fell in love with weightlifting and completely abandoned cardio. And while I do think that was a good decision at that time. Like, I think because I had done basically only cardio, I had a lot more space for growth and improvement in shifting to weightlifting. But at a certain point, you probably should incorporate a little bit of cardio. And I've ranted before in multiple videos about how cardio is not optimal for fat loss, and I do still stand by everything that I have said in those videos. Like, if you are focusing just on reducing your body fat percentage, cardio should not be the like staple foundation of your exercise routine. But outside of that, for overall health, which is one of my goals for overall longevity, you still want to be incorporating a little bit of cardio. Heart health is very important. And yes, you can still maintain a good level of cardiovascular health without having to explicitly like run or bike or do like the cardiovascular activity. Like, you are using your heart when you are resistance training, when you are doing yoga. Like, those hot yoga classes get my heart rate up. So it's more just making sure you're prioritizing things that are running the gamut of cardiovascular training, so that you're dipping into all of those different pockets of cardiovascular training, and just getting well-rounded exercise is essentially the goal for health and longevity. So like I said, this is something that I have been improving on, but it's not to where I would necessarily want it to be for optimal longevity. I do think I need a little bit more, like I just need to work on my cardiovascular endurance and like work my way up. And then I want to create a more structured routine incorporating resistance training, cardio, mobility, flexibility, functional activity, all of that good stuff. I'm working on it. Next one is one that I honestly never really wanted to admit to on YouTube, and still don't really want to admit to, but I feel like at some point I have to admit to it, and I've gotten a lot better, so it's not as bad as it used to be. Sleep schedule. My sleep schedule, I've told you guys, my sleep schedule is not normal for a very long time, until maybe a little bit less than a year ago. I was going to sleep pretty consistently between 3 and 4 a.m. I was still getting 8 hours of sleep every single night. I work for myself. I make my own schedule. Like, I was getting a full night's sleep. I was waking up well rested. Like, my sleep quality was really good. According to my Oura Ring, I am a late sleeper type. So like, honestly, might actually line up with my biology and maybe be a good thing. But like, as a whole, quite possibly not the best idea to be going to bed at 4 a.m. and waking up at noon. Consistently sleeping out of sync with your natural circadian rhythm can mess up all the things that rely on your circadian rhythm, such as your hormones, especially melatonin, cortisol, insulin. Night owl schedules have been linked to issues like metabolic disorders, insulin issues, mood disorders, poor recovery. And it is generally accepted that like your sleep quality is going to be better if you are sleeping more in sync with the sun. Nowadays, my sleep schedule is a little bit less crazy. I'm going to bed between like 12 and 1 and still sleeping 8 hours, giving myself space to sleep 9 hours, as I always say. Like, I do highly value my sleep. I really prioritize my sleep quality, my bedtime routine. Like, according to my Oura Ring, all of my sleep things are in line other than my sleep timing, but it's just probably not optimal. Although, caveat here, and actually, if any of you know specifically of the science here that can prove me wrong or right or whatever, let me know, because I've tried to research this, and all of the research that I see and all the people that I see talking about the research is all basically drawing the conclusion that a shifted sleep schedule like that is bad, from the fact that usually that correlates with less sleep. Like, oftentimes people going to bed at 4 a.m. are not sleeping 8 hours, they're sleeping 5 or 6 hours because they have to get up for like work and things. I have not been able to find studies that show that if you are going to bed at 4 a.m. and sleeping until noon consistently, like every single night, have a consistent sleep schedule and consistently get 8 hours of sleep, that is inherently worse for your body than going to sleep at like 10 p.m. and waking up at 6 a.m. I feel like intuitively it makes sense that it probably would not be as optimal. Like, going to sleep and waking with the sun makes a lot of sense evolutionarily, biologically, etc., especially because of the sun's regulation of our sleep-wake hormones and other hormones. But like, I just haven't been able to prove that it was bad for me, which was a big reason that I never made the effort to shift my sleep schedule. But now I have successfully shifted it a couple hours, and honestly, I do think I was feeling consistently better and more rested when I was going to bed at 4 a.m. and waking up at noon. So like, this is kind of a big question mark for me actually, now that I'm talking through it. So like I said, if any of you know the actual science that isn't just like correlative data, but is actually like causational, would love to hear it. Like, please prove to me that I should be going to bed earlier, because that'll give me a lot more motivation than just thinking, oh, that's like a logical decision, but I see no evidence. Next big thing that I like really fell into the trap of in the last year was doom scrolling throughout the day. And I mean, there's quite a lot to unpack here as to like the why behind how my brain ended up in that space. I'm gonna try to just focus on the actual habits rather than going into the mind of Marissa. But long story short, I was in quite a bit of a funk for like the last year or so. Between major burnout and career crisising, I was in a bit of a spiral, and my escape from the spiral was doom scrolling. And so I ended up doing a lot more of that than was healthy in the last year. And here's the thing, I love social media. Obviously, I'm here creating content for social media. I think there is so much value in online content. There's a lot that I've learned that I wouldn't have learned if it weren't for social media. There's a lot of personal growth that I've experienced that I wouldn't have experienced if it weren't for social media. And so I'm a big advocate for like its existence. That said, I think we all at this point are very aware of the downsides and dangers of social media. I think when you're using it in a healthy way, it's fantastic. But when you are using it as an escape from a doom spiral and you're just going into a doom scroll instead, probably not the healthiest. While it can feel helpful in the moment to escape from the spiral, it is a major nervous system dysregulator. Any escapism tool is not a healthy way of dealing with things. And it was just a spiral that I ended up falling into. But it really significantly took away time that I probably could have been using to get out of the spiral that I was in. It definitely was contributing to the dysregulation that I was experiencing that started the spiral in the first place, and so it was making it in that way harder to get out of the spiral. I don't blame myself for it because, again, lots of backstory, don't need to get into it, that's not what this video is about, but like I know where my brain was and how that ended up happening, and I don't feel any guilt or shame about it, but I do know that it wasn't the healthiest, best thing that I could have been doing. If you yourself find yourself in the doom scroll more often than you know is healthy for you, if you spend enough time doom scrolling that it is negatively impacting your life, your mental health, your relationships, etc., then I highly recommend taking some steps to get yourself out of that. And you know, I mean, you know your brain best and why you might be stuck in the doom scroll. But if you can, you know, go to the root cause of that, figure out an alternative way of coping with whatever you're using the doom scroll to get through, then that can really help kind of deviate your energy from the doom scroll. And then something else that I personally found extremely helpful in getting out of that this time and before. I was never in like this bad of a doom spiral, but like I've gone through phases of like getting a little bit too addicted to the scroll, and doing my 35 Thrive challenge was really helpful in getting out of that. It's a challenge where you do 5 specific things for 35 days in order to help yourself thrive, and one of those is limiting your scrolling time, essentially. So forcing yourself to stop using that as a coping mechanism and just switch to something else. It can be anything else. Like, it's not like you have to read a book instead of doom scroll. You just have to stop yourself from doom scrolling. And when you limit the doom scroll, you force your brain to kind of find other pathways of self-soothing, and ideally some of those pathways are going to be less addictive. Next thing that has really been not optimal for me in my journey in the last couple years has been my lack of consistency with workout programming. Every time I feel like I've gotten consistent with my workout programming, I've just like had a flare or had something happen that knocked me out of that consistency. And so it's been a constant back and forth. If you have any sort of goals when it comes to health and fitness, consistency is very important. in order to get to those goals in not even the most efficient way, just like a semi-efficient way. Your body can only adapt in a positive way if it's given consistent and ideally consistently progressing stimulus that progresses in a certain direction. If your stimulus for your body is like all over the place, then your body's gonna be trying to grow in all different directions, and you're not going to make specific progress in any specific direction. Without programming, without intention behind your workout structure, without any sort of consistency with what you're doing, your body's just gonna struggle to make progress adapting. So this is something that I am hoping to incorporate back into my fitness routine as soon as I can. It's just been something that life has just not wanted me to be consistent lately, and that's okay. I'm doing the best that I can with the time and space that I have and the health that I have, and that's really the best that I can do. But I know very well that I would be in a different place if for the last few years I actually had been super consistent with workout programming. Last big one that I want to touch on, and I'm sure there are so many more things that I am not perfect with, but this is a big one that I think I want to highlight just because of how impactful it can be and how impactful it has been for me, and that is a lack of community and social time that I have had for years and years and years, until recently, until the last year where I decided to like actively do something about it. I feel like I hadn't had a very strong sense of community and had not been prioritizing social time since like high school. And that's not to say I had like no friends and never socialized, but like I didn't socialize very much. And I definitely didn't feel like I really had a core community that I had strong tethers to. But having a strong support system is so crucial for your health and your fitness journey. Even if you are the most introverted person on the planet, like I am extremely introverted. I probably don't come across like it because I can be quite happy and bubbly talking to a camera, but like I'm talking to a camera. Like this isn't I'm not talking to a human, I'm talking to an inanimate object. That's easy for me because I'm very introverted. Like I'm not someone that feels like I need social time very often, but even so, it is still so crucial because humans are biologically, evolutionarily social creatures. We feel safety in community because evolutionarily, if you didn't have community, you were gonna get eaten real fast by like a lion or something. Community is what keeps us safe. And so if you don't have any community or social support, your nervous system is going to have a very hard time regulating. But in the last year, I have made a lot of progress in this. This is something that I don't feel like is, I think I still have some progress to make here, but I don't think it's one of the big things that I'm like failing in right now, but it's something that for a long time was definitely not optimal for me, so I wanted to call attention to it here. And for anyone who is struggling like this, one of the big things that I did is I used Facebook. I went on Facebook and found a couple local groups and I posted in there. I was like, hey, this is who I am. I want some friends. Does anyone want to hang out? And I spent a couple months just like going on friend dates and meeting people and seeing who I vibed with and finding friends that way. And then like through friends, you meet other friends. And with friends, you now have people that you can do things with to meet more people. I also recently joined a softball team, which gives me like an inherent sense of community, even though like I don't know these people that well yet. We are all still like on one team working together towards a goal, which just like nervous system wise gives your body a sense of community and safety because you have a group of people on your team, literally. So those are the areas that I feel like have been the most imperfect on like the entirety of my fitness journey. Some other things that come to mind, in the last like couple months I was eating out a lot from places that are like relatively healthy, most of them 100% seed oil free, like use very high quality ingredients, but still probably like, you know, not as good as cooking at home. I've gone through phases of eating a lot more packaged foods, not necessarily highly processed, but just packaged, and with the amount of like microplastics and stuff and other just not great stuff in packaging that's leaching into food, also probably not optimal, especially considering my personal goals and where I am on my skin healing journey, knowing that I need to support detox within my body, and adding anything to that detox burden, probably not a great idea. And I'm sure there's a lot of other little ways that I could be shifting my life and my lifestyle to decrease my toxic burden. Like, there's a lot that I do already, obviously. Like, I've talked about a lot of it. I use non-toxic skin products, hair products, etc., using non-toxic dish soap, other cleaning products. I have an air filter. Like, I'm doing a lot, but there's always more that you can do, really, in this modern world where everything is death. For a long time, not drinking enough water was a huge thing that I was absolutely not being perfect with, like very significantly failing at. Was definitely not drinking enough water, but that's really changed in the last year or so. I go through phases of not prioritizing protein as much as I would like to. I have been going through lots of phases of not prioritizing resistance training as much as I would like to for longevity. There's a lot of little things that I don't do perfectly, because being perfect, first of all, that's for the perfectionists, and I am a recovering perfectionist, so I'm not even gonna try to aim for that. Also, it would literally be more than a full-time job to accomplish that. And I have other priorities and goals in life. Like, health is one of my absolute #1 values in life, but like, I have some other ones that also take precedence. And despite all of these imperfections on my journey, I feel like I have made really good progress to where I want to be. The skin thing, we're working on it. I think I'm making progress, but like, fingers crossed. And at this point, I'm working with a professional. It's out of my hands. I'm leaving it up to her. But like, fitness wise, I feel like I'm where I want to be for the most part. I'm happy about it. Could it be a little bit better? Maybe. But like, I'm fine. I'm chilling. We're good. And I got here without being remotely close to perfect. I just think it's so easy to get caught in the doom scroll, or like just open Instagram and see people, especially if your algorithm is giving you a lot of health and fitness and wellness content, just get bombarded with all of these things that like you should be doing. And it's so easy to get overwhelmed and feel like you're not doing things perfectly and feel like therefore you are failing. And that's not the case. Like, it's good to have information, but treat it as information. Treat it as tools in your toolbox. Treat it as things that you can circle back to if you want to, when you have the time and the energy and the space in your life to do so. You don't have to take every single piece of information and turn it into specific action. Just keep it in your information bank. So hopefully this is helpful for some of you guys. Hopefully me admitting to some of these things, particularly the sleep schedule, really, I didn't want to admit to that, but here we are. Hopefully that's comforting for some of you guys who are going on your health and fitness journeys and feeling imperfect. And if everyone else could share like one thing or all the things that you feel like you are doing imperfectly in your fitness journey and health journey, please leave them down in the comments below so that we can all just share in this together and realize that we're all imperfect together, and that is okay. If you guys like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It really does support me and my channel. I really genuinely appreciate it. Please share this video with your friends, your family, your gym buddies. If you want to see more content from me all about health and fitness, you can check it out over here. To see future videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the little notification bell so you get notified when I post a video, and I will see you very soon. Bye!